Okay, so Russell was an English atheist philosopher, right? But this is like jumping to a conclusion. In fact, the problem is much more complicated. In fact, during the 60s and 70s of last century, uh, the atheists were all-knowing. They were like gods, like Jean-Paul Sartre. He knew everything. Or like revolutionary champions, like Che Guevara. He was ready to destroy US imperialism. But in fact, atheism has got a much more elaborate signification, maybe even evasive and unexpected. Let me just read for you this in French. L'athéisme, du grec non et théos Dieu, doctrine qui nie l'existence de Dieu, théorie polémique par excellence fondée sur une négation. L'athéisme est condamné par les croyants qui l'identifient au mal moral et recusé par de nombreux penseurs rationalistes qui préfèrent adopter le terme d'agnosticisme, désignant d'abord l'appartenance à une autre religion. Les Romains, imagine, les Romains du 1er siècle qualifiaient les chrétiens d'athées. Incredible. Entendant par là que ceux-ci rejetaient le culte polythéiste traditionnel. Il constitue une théorie nourrie de la philosophie matérialiste et l'esprit libertin. So, anyone who doesn't belong to my religion, I will call him atheist in a derogatory sense. It's just like an insult, right? But, in fact, in Arabic, it means something very interesting. Mulhid, al-hada. Okay, so, al-hada. مال عن الطريق doesn't mean God. مال عن الطريق الصواب. لحد السهم عن الهدف. So the arrow missed the target. So this is ilhad. Something wrong. Anything wrong is ilhad. Now going to Mr. Bertrand Russell. He was born in 1872 and died in 1970, the year in which Pelé won the cup, 1970. So he's a British philosopher, logician, and mathematician. Philosopher that is asking questions about everything and anything, and logician working by P and minus P, and mathematician that is equations, okay? So he was a Nobel Prize winner of literature in 1950. He wrote some 70 books and 2,000 articles. I chose from these articles Human Knowledge, Its Scope and Limits. This reminds us of our friend Zakhnini, rest in peace. حدود العقل وآفاقه عند المفكرين المسلمين. Right. Well, he was also a militant. He moved from liberal to socialist. He was anti-war, the Vietnam War. He went to lecture at different universities in America, and then he got his not underground. Undergraduate student, one of his, he married this young girl, what else can be said about him? He even spent some time in prison. Great man, courageous. Why I'm not Christian? Let me try and go through this interesting article that made him known as an atheist. When he speaks about logicians like himself, like Frege, etc., that I wrote in my book. So, the article, Why I'm Not Christian by Bertrand Russell. It says there is a problem with the word Christian. Who is Christian? He says, for many people in Europe, it was a person who attempts to live a good life. So I could be, you could be Christian. He says it himself. He says, this applies not only to Christians but also to Buddhists, people of Confucius, and again he goes for this Mohammedanism. Remember this Christian woman who invited me to dinner to explain how our Prophet married a woman, Christian woman who helped him. I never went to her dinner. Now, what is a Christian? He says someone who believes in God and immortality, that the soul doesn't die. By opposition to the Catholics who go to the Vatican, in England you have the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Archbishop of York. These are the authorities of Christianity in England. Now, the existence of God, he says it's a large and serious question. I should have to keep you here until kingdom comes, ila yawm ad-din. It's a long thing. Mr. Bertrand Russell refutes the arguments of many important philosophers like Aristotle's first cause, the unmoved mover. And he says that this subject is like vacuous, and he gives the examples of the Hindus. They say that the world rests upon an elephant, and the elephant rests upon a tortoise. And when you said, what about the tortoise? The Indian said, suppose we change the subject? Right, it's funny. Now, Mr. Bertrand Russell goes against the Big Bang because he believes that the world had no beginning. He goes against the natural law of Isaac Newton. He goes against the dice of Einstein. He's very optimistic or pretentious. And he gives some funny arguments of the believers that, like Voltaire said, we have nose because we put glasses on those nose. And someone says, the rabbits have white tails in order to be easy to shoot. Very funny. He says, why do we have such evil, like the Ku Klux Klan or the fascists and the Yorkshire Ripper in England sometimes? So there is no design. He goes also against Kant's moral arguments. So all these people, for him, are missed subjects. And then he says why he is not Christian, because he doesn't believe that Christ was the best man. He even puts the question mark. He's right to put question marks about everything. He says he's not even sure that Christ existed, but he's going to discuss Christ from the Bible itself. He says, suppose we try to apply the moral principle of forgiveness, that if someone slaps you on the right cheek, you give him the... He said, try to apply it to the British Prime Minister, although he's Christian. And also, the Christians say, don't judge people, okay? That God judged them. But they forgot that they have gone through many inquisitions, etc. The British politicians, both Conservatives and Labour Party, ask them to apply the Christ generosity, and you will see what you will get. All right. When he questions the existence of Christ, he falls into the dogmatic skepticism of Pyrrho, who doubted everything, even his own existence. Now he says religion is not a matter of reason, just emotions. And the Christians believe that anyone who is a Christian is wicked, but for him, it's the Christians who are wicked. Now, never mind a bit about